mother, I think. Because it is a very big red herring, the religion and the title is a big red herring, I think. Could you go in thinking it's about conversion? But it's a conversion of the heart for him, for his mom. And that's the most important part.
Did he converted? What was he doing at the complex Islam?
Okay, I think he did it for her, to find out Arabic classes. So do you think that he started to get to know Islam? Do you think he was interested in her as a woman, or in her as a way out of hatred?
Do we get the answer in school?
For the non-Muslims, was it difficult to follow? Because it's not about religion, I think. It's about mother.
So if religion is a red herring, why do you use that as a platform?
Because I have people in my country who sometimes use religion as a crutch. It's not a question of loving God or fearing God, it's more as a crutch. I have nothing else, so I shall hang on to this, and I should use it against others. Well, I see this kind of behavior even in amongst Christians and Jews as well. The Buddhists are a bit more accepting of other people, but these three people of the book often use it as a crutch, I find. Well, anyway, I know people who are like that. So I think these girls were using it as a crutch. It's what they want, something to hang on to. Maybe it's not good or bad, it's just some people use it as a crutch. Maybe. Because one newspaper said it's about religion, religiosity, I don't even know the word exactly, and spirituality. And it's a very long article. There was no mention about mothers and family. So I stress right now that all my books are about humanity, not about race. Maybe it introduces itself through race, through differences, but ultimately it's about humanity. I used to worry that people from outside of Malaysia cannot understand a film like Mokse, which is about two Melayu kids, and this about Christians and Muslims. I thought maybe in Japan, for example, where they are Buddhists, they will not understand this debate, but they gave it a prize, so they must have understood something about it. Okay, since you're not going to ask questions, I'll ask you, was he in love with her? You think? Was she in love with him?
Eventually.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think that's wishful thinking.
I think he likes her for the affection that she showed to her siblings, adik, and he probably feeling guilty for, I don't know, like he said that he lost, probably like, and he said that, and that somebody like get out of religion because he probably is angry with someone because he asked who the person because that made you feel angry. So I think that he had this sort of like disconnected with the father, and hence the father's gone and he's not mother. I would suppose that he lost that, and I think when he saw the affection of the two siblings, he sort of missing it. Not sure whether he fall in love with her or not, but I think fall in love for what he's been missing.
Corinthians 13, she says. I would like to hear some questions or expressions from the non-Muslims in the room.
Question about the ghost story element. I mean, I wasn't sure what he was doing in the movie.
Did you have any feeling about it?
Well, no, I'm not really. I was just a little confused by it.
Sometimes when I write, I try to write without trying to be clever. I try, but because by being clever, I end up stupid. But sometimes I fail and some attempt at being clever comes in. But with the ghost thing, as I'm writing it, suddenly a ghost thing came on and I wasn't sure what it meant. And when that happens, I'm very happy. I'm going, okay, I'm introducing something that I cannot understand. Therefore, it comes from somewhere else, other than the mind. So I pursued that ghost thing, and there was a cat, and we found a house which apparently some 8 minutes was upstairs. Perfect. Nobody was staying there. People hadn't stayed there for months, but the lawn was very well mowed, very interesting. There was a lawn mower at the side. There was a swing which apparently sometimes swings and yes. So later on, I think maybe what was coming out was the fact that the girls were not afraid of their ghost, and he was afraid of the ghost because he hadn't quite laid it to rest. And I didn't mean it to be so metaphorical, but I think metaphora mustn't be concocted. It must come naturally. And you look on hindsight and you go, my God, that was a great metaphor that I didn't really intend to put down. So the ghost thing is about, after a while when he started to be kind and more generous, that the cat was gone. But when he came back at the end, he mewed instead of, it just, it's not a scary thing anymore. Because I think our past ghosts keep coming back. Whatever ghosts we have, they keep coming back. Just at some point you're no longer afraid of it. You let go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Watching the movie, I always have a disconnect with your movies and what's happening in Malaysia because I'm Malaysian. And in your movies, the people, there are always characters that are kind and generous and big-hearted, especially you said that when there was no mention about the interracial romance also in the story. But when I look in the papers at what's happening in Malaysia, I can't help but to despair. So my reaction...
Are you from Malaysia?
Yeah, but I live in Singapore. But my reaction to watching the movies is one hope that when I see what is happening in Malaysia...
have you never found kindness in Malaysia? I see it every day.
I mean, like, banned from yoga and all that. So I don't know, I mean, where does that hope come from? That's my story.
Because if I don't have hope, I might as well go and jump off a building. And I see kindness. I see darkness as well. And I don't have to tell you about the darkness, like you say, you see it every day. But I think that what we come across in our lives, there is a kind of spiritual feng shui. If you have unkind thoughts about others inside you, you will encounter unkindness. I'm not saying you're unkind. Maybe you're in Singapore, and everyone in Singapore is so kind.
That's the first.
But in Malaysia, I went through some dark periods in my life where I felt so angry. And during those periods, all I encountered was anger and more things for me to be angry about. At some point when I decided, look, if I'm going to continue this way, I might as well jump off a building. So I'm going to try and, instead of waiting for kindness to happen, to start it. Yes. And by starting it, I find that I notice more kindness from everywhere. Before I used to notice people who ignored blind people. Now I notice the young Chinese girl helping a blind Malay man across the street. So it's a feng shui. You find what you have inside you more outside. I don't know whether you agree with that or not. I suppose that attitude came to me when I read Zen Buddhist anecdotes. There is a Japanese Zen master called Soen Nakagawa. One day one of his students came up to him and said, "So Nakagawa, I'm feeling very discouraged. What should I do?" And his response was, "Encourage others," which is very interesting, I found. So instead of waiting for someone to encourage you, you shall now put this aside and try and encourage other people. And suddenly out of it, you find yourself terribly encouraged. So I didn't, Brian long time ago before we met, had a problem with Sepet. Where is the tackling of the interracial issue right now?